So your partner's father doesn't like his wife. Oh, that's dangerous because there's no model father figure who's presenting uh, positive alpha characteristics about how to behave in human relationships. Well, yeah, he seems very much like a non-existent character. Yeah, he doesn't seem to have that much influence in the situation, and and you know the if if a wife is domineering over her husband, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing because it might work out really well in some relationships, yeah. Uh, if a wife is domineering over her husband, then she will probably also be domineering over her male children as well, just because of the patterns that form and how the child sees the relationship develop as he grows up. Um, and then the sort of the parental relationship becomes like an umbrella, and the children are sort of trapped under the umbrella. They can't get out um, because of what they experienced in the past. And there's the whole life cycle trap as well, because as you get older, your parents need more care and more help and more attention. And not only do they physically decline, they mentally decline as well. And what the first thing that happens with the mental decline is that the bad characteristics become more prominent because your judgment, your ability to make good decisions and good judgments decreases. Because for a lot of people, especially those who are manipulative and have a lot of the negative characteristics, they've got this balance in their life where they're trying to suppress everything that's bad. They're trying to push it down and present this good face. I'm a good person. I do this right. I do that right. Look at me. Look at how wonderful all this stuff is. Everything is great. And this ability to pressurize and keep all this down as you get older becomes more difficult, and all the negative characteristics come up to the surface because you you can't judge when to say it and when not to say it, so it just comes out.
Mhm.
And all this, and what happens as people get older is that the negativity comes to the surface more, and so people get. You find this with a lot of old people. They're very difficult to deal with because it's this in their life, they were able to manipulate things and to keep the bad down. But as they get older, it just rises and rises, which is why it's really important to be a good person. It's not important just to be a good person, just to be a good person. It's important because all of the bad shit will come to the surface later in life. All of the bad stuff will just bubble up and boil over in your later years of life, and and it will become more and more visible to people. It's like if you have plastic surgery, it's a great idea when you're young, but as you get older, your face kind of falls off, right? and it's not cool. And that's what happens to your personality as well. All of the bad things become suddenly more visible. And that's why it's important to be good and be honest, because if you're a truthful and honest person, then it's just the honesty that comes to the surface and the truth that comes to the surface and the light and the goodness. But if
Mhm.
you're but if you're not, you're, whoever it is, whatever those bad characteristics are, if it's even me myself, it's like that's going to be a rough ride. Okay, those years 50, 60, 70, 80, it's going to get rough because a spotlight is shone on the negative side of the character at that point in time. There's the your character becomes permanent. It becomes hardened with all the negativity. I remember reading a Turgenev book. I think it's Fathers and Sons, and he talks about this old woman who had a face like a clenched fist, because it was all of the anger and resentment and negative feeling towards other people in her life was then visible in her older years in her face. And so it becomes more difficult at that point in time when the parents become older, especially if the parents haven't been that good within their life. And if they tried to be manipulative in the past and were very good at it, they will continue to try to be manipulative in the future, but they'll be very bad at it because their quality of judgment will go down, it will decrease. And then it will be hell, because there will be a lot of things spoken that people wanted to say in the past but didn't. Which is why put your cards on the table now. Because what's coming is going to come whatever, right? So you better experience it sooner so that you can grow stronger and be ready for the next age or the next stage,
Mm.
whatever or whatever it might be. Look, I've seen this in people around about me as they get older. Those who did good in their lives, they turn into the sweetest, nicest, most beautiful old people you can ever imagine. And those who did bad in their life, they turn into nasty characters in their old age. It's coming for all of us, okay?
Mm.
It's coming for all of us.
Mm.
Nobody escapes. Nobody escapes. Nobody gets out. Nobody gets away with
Mm.
it. It's there, and that's why we got to focus on the personal development issues and get to the next level. And your partner is going to be dealing with that more and more. The father will become more and more, whatever, it doesn't matter, I have no power, yes, yes, yes to everything. What you speak becomes reality, right? Maybe he's dead already. You when you when you when you can't be yourself, you stop playing. You stop playing the life is kind of like the game where you have to continually be active. Yeah, and if you can't be yourself, and you just can't, you just stop, you give up. What's the point? What's the point? I can't get anywhere anyway, so whatever. The people who say the people who talk about death a lot are it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a negative thing. It depends on a person's perspective of it. But a lot of them are sort of dead, or part of them is dead already. And that doesn't have to be a negative thing, because you've got the choice to realize, oh my God, I've only got 10 more years of life left. I better do everything for everybody. I better change the world. I better help all my neighbors. I better invest in charities, or I better, go and volunteer to help at the local kindergarten or whatever. Because I've only got 10 years of life and all this experience and all this energy, and what we need to do at the end of our life is share our knowledge and our life experience and our wisdom with other people. Because if you're not doing that, what's the point? What's the point of life if you're not going to gather all this knowledge and information and then share it with people? Because the ultimate selfish life is a life not where you don't improve yourself, but you don't share what you learned. if a person wants to move forward, they have to break some of the connections with the past. Um, Look, it's either, the relationship is either on or it's off, right? There's nothing in the middle. Um, and it's a very difficult situation to be in. We have to realize that potential negatives exist. But if we focus on them, we make them worse. So
Mhm.
we have to focus on the positive elements. It's very easy to focus on the negative elements of things. It's very easy to point out what's wrong. Like maybe in a room, maybe there's 1,000 objects. Maybe one of them is in the wrong place and it's really frustrating or annoying. But that's only one thing. And the 999 other things are all okay. It's very easy for us to focus on the one thing which is out of place or is wrong.
Mm.
And success requires that we understand what is wrong, but that we don't overly focus on it.
Mm.
We correct what we can correct. We control what we can control. And the rest is in the hands of other people or fate or gods or the planets or whatever system or be- belief philosophy that people have. Um, it's really necessary to look at the good things. And there should be consistently more of them as we get older, because that's a sign that we're doing things right. And it's it's necessary. If we focus on the negative, we are walking around with a cloud over our head all day, and it's raining. We can't allow that to happen. We can't allow there to be a doubt that it's not going to work out. And I think deep down inside, we all know what's going to happen to us all of the time. The good and the bad. We know. We know it's not usually a surprise to us, especially those who have a little bit of self-knowledge. It's not really a surprise to us who we are or what we do or where we go. We understand the choices that we make and the decisions that we have to make. Um, it's very much necessary in relationships to be all in. And it's not our job to make sure that other people are all in. It's their choice whether or not they want to do that themselves. Um, it's better for them if they are. But it's it's going to require a lot of work to make things work. It's going to require more work um, to make things work. The, the 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 family around you is unsupportive. Have you ever imagined what it would be like if everything was okay? Have you ever thought about it? Like, what would it be like if I was head over heels in love with my partner was head over heels in love with me, and there weren't all these mistakes and problems and errors in the past, and their family loved me and was really supportive of me, and my family loved him and was really supportive of him, and we had this time when you know com- maybe that's a fantasy, but all fantasies began with dreams of achieving the impossible. From landing on the moon to building a giant building. All fantasies began with dreaming about the impossible. Um, and because that crosses my mind from time to time. It crosses my mind from time to time where I stop and I think, what would be the perfect situation? What would I like? What would be the perfect situation? And then, what can I do to take one step closer to that? What can I do? What's one thing that I can do
Mm.
to get one, not 1,000 things. What's one thing that I can do right now, right here, today to make a difference? I had an argument with my partner last week. We were driving somewhere and we couldn't find where we were going. We got lost. And so we're in the car shouting at each other like two stupid people, right? Do. I don't know if you've ever had an argument in a car with somebody, but it's just really intense because you're sitting next to each other and you're stuck there and it's just like, we should go this way. No, no, you're supposed to go that way. Well, what does the map say? I don't know. The GPS has stopped. I don't know where we are. Ah. And there's three kids in the back going, what are they talking about? Right? Where's the problem? And so we eventually we found the right place, and I got out of the car and I had to go and get something, collect something, and come back to the car. And I came back to the car and I sat in the car and I said, I'm really sorry. You were right. I said I overreacted. It was wrong. Um, it wasn't your fault at all. It was me. And it it brightened the day, right? Because I was able to own that fact that I'd made a mistake, and I was thinking, oh, what could I do to make things better? What could I do to make things brighter? And that is always within our power. It's always within our power. Like, I can't control what my partner's going to do, and I don't want to, which is terrible because it means they're going to do a lot of things that I don't like probably, but that's life, right? That's life. It's okay. There's different ways. I can have great ideas and have terrible execution of my ideas, and the result be a nightmare, right? So it's possible that happens to all of us. So, and I was telling my son the other day, we were talking about experiments, and I was saying to my son said, should I do this or do this? And I said, you decide. He said, but do you tell me? I said, no, I'm not going to decide. I said, one way will be better than the other way. Both ways will give you feedback, right? If you're successful, you get feedback. If you fail, you get feedback. As long as you learn, it's okay. And he looked at me like he was puzzled. And I said, well, look, most of my day is experimentation. I try stuff. Sometimes it's great and it works, and sometimes it's terrible and it doesn't work. I'm not going to stop and think about all the things that are terrible and that don't work. Life's too short for that. You do the best that you can do, you try it, you learn from it, you move on. Don't get trapped in the past. It's pointless. It's dead. So I think we all have the power to make tomorrow better than today just by owning what it is that we do. And if we are good people will want to travel with us on our journey through life.
Mhm.
But bad people will also be attracted to us because good is always attractive.
Mm.
And we need good discernment about people and time. But it helps me when I imagine what would be the perfect situation and how do I get one step closer to that.
Mm.
And I don't worry about everything else that's going on. I just try to just do one thing. It's enough to do one thing. If you can change just one thing or say one thing, then you've done the right thing.
Mm.
Like if someone's angry with you or frustrated with you, you say to them, I was wondering, is there something I can do to help you? You don't become a servant of the other person, but you own your space.
Mhm.
Yeah, you don't become a slave to the other person. Yeah, you just demonstrate what it is to be good. And that's enough. That's enough. Um,